Week 2 of barbecue month here on the tasting room, and the guy sitting next to me, I've seen him called the godfather of barbecue in Oklahoma. You heard last week, if you listened to that episode, Adam Green call you Dirty Uncle. Dirty Uncle, yep. Donny Teel in the house from Buffalo's Barbecue. How are you, man?
I'm doing good.
Doing good? Yep. How's the barbecue world treating you?
Doing well. Getting ready to hit a whole bunch of contests here in the next couple months. So fixing to burn a lot of diesel fuel anyway.
I bet, yeah. Not cheap to do all that with diesel and gas costs these days, I'm sure. I want to definitely get into the contest talk with you. That's the main reason I wanted you here. And also, your trailer up in Sperry. I met you when I was at Channel 8.
Yep.
I was the sports director at 8. I don't remember how we crossed paths, but I started driving up there, and I don't know if people consider it a destination or like you have to, it's like 20 minutes or so from town. But I love the vibe, right? It's just a picnic table in your trailer. And that's the same trailer you hook up and you take to competitions, right?
No.
Oh, is it not? Okay.
I have a different one for contests. But
what's the main difference in the setup from what you do for commercial for what you do for competition?
The cooker I have at the barbecue stand is more of a commercial made cooker. It's a rotisserie, a lot more meat. The cooker I use at contest, it's an offset cooker, and it's just mainly for contests. It's just big enough to hold what you'd cook for a contest. Yeah.
Let's get into the contest world. What got you? Is that what got you started in barbecue?
Yes.
Doing contests?
It's actually Adam's father-in-law and mother-in-law and his wife back when she was a young girl, like 7 or 8. We lived out by them, and they'd always go to contests, and we'd hear about it. And so I finally asked them, well, how do you know about these contests? How do you know where to go? How do you sign up? So on and so forth. And they told me you need to become a member of the Kansas City Barbecue Society, which I did. And then back then you just got a sheet of paper, and they'd have a few contests on, which contests back then weren't near like they are now as far as many. And kind of got started that way, and just mainly learned from eating mistakes. And that's a good thing about barbecue. You can mess up, and as long as you don't mess it up too bad, you still got something to chew on.
That's the truth. How have you seen the contest world change? So how long ago, when was your first contest? Do you remember?
1996.
1996. We have a fly in here too with us. He wanted to be a part of the conversation. So 96 to now, how have you seen the contest world change, or is it kind of similar?
It's changed, like threefold. Back when we first started, everything you bought was from the grocery store. The brisket, the pork butts, the ribs, the chicken. Well, nowadays you get a lot of that stuff you buy on the internet and have it shipped in, which is the higher end, like Duroc pork, Wagyu briskets, like a organic chicken, stuff like that. And plus the prices went drastically higher.
Yeah, no kidding there. Yeah. Is that one of the secrets to the contest world, is sourcing meat that is hopefully of better quality than your competition? Or does it really, I assume it's kind of twofold, right? Like that helps, but you also have to cook it well.
Well, that helps.
Right.
You always want to start on a level playing field with everybody else. So, if you're cooking a lower grade brisket, if you're cooking a choice or a prime, that means you're going to have to cook it perfect to even have a chance against a Wagyu.
I can't even imagine. What's the cost of a Wagyu brisket?
Anywhere from $250 to $280, $90.
Good Lord.
For one piece of meat.
That's why I've never cooked it.
They're expensive.
Yeah.
But the flavor of Wagyu is unreal. It's a lot richer, a lot deeper flavor, beef, which has got a lot more marbling, so it takes a higher temperature to break it down to get it right.
I don't know if you had a chance to listen to Adam's podcast yet, but we went on this tangent when I asked him what he thinks of Aaron Franklin. And I'm curious to get to get your thoughts on that as well. Someone that brought a lot of attention to the barbecue world. Adam's point was that where he gets a little iffy on his feelings towards it is, and it's not Aaron's fault, but is now people think, oh, when you're doing ribs, it has to be 3-2-1. Or when you're doing brisket, you have to cook it for this long. You have to wrap it in this kind of paper. You have to. When in reality, there's not a have to in barbecue. You can do it 500 different ways, I'm sure. Do you have a feeling on what kind of those celebrity chef type people have brought to the barbecue world?
I think it's good for all of us. I mean, it's put barbecue in the spotlight, which is good for all of us that are in the industry. I don't care if you're just contest cooking or if you have a restaurant or whatever. It's just, I think it's good for the whole deal, everybody involved, because anytime you can put anything you're doing in front of a TV set, it's got to be good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's my feelings. I mean, yeah, but you got to consider, being a TV guy, a lot of that's made for TV.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, a lot of them egos some of them, I know all them guys. I know Aaron, I know Myron, I know them all, but all them guys, some of them are not that way in real life, but some of them really are that way. But, I mean, as far as their ego, but hey, everybody's got egos. That's what makes us who we are.
It's the name of the game, isn't it?
Yep.
What's the biggest competition you've been in as far as number of entrants that you were up against? Do you remember?
American Roll.
How many do you think that was on a guesstimate?
Almost 600.
And did you win that one?
I've won that one, and it was
Yeah.
in the 500 and some teams.
That's incredible.
I've been very fortunate. I've won my fair share in 25, 26 years. I can't drive. I mean, I've been at the bottom, and I've been at the top, and I fell down, and I've climbed my way back to the top. And that's the thing about barbecue. You start, and you never stay on top. I mean, you
Why do you
fall
think that
down
is?
and crawl back up.
Why do you think you fall down in the barbecue world?
Taste buds change.
Yeah.
And then things, people are different layers of flavor of when you're cooking contests. You're always layering flavors between rubs, wood. The whole deal in contest cooking is probably the last hour to 30 minutes to an hour. That is the critical points of getting the product done, putting the box right, and finishing a product the way you need to present it to the judges. And there's a lot of tricks of the trade.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a huge difference too, just in hearing you say that, between what you do on a normal service, day or evening at Buffalo's to what you do in a contest as far as the finishing and the presentation, right? Is it totally different?
Oh yeah, it's a lot more in depth. You got to realize in a contest you're concentrating on one bite, because them judges are going to take one bite. So in that one bite, you have really got to say, they have got to say in their mind, wow, that is good. It's cooked perfect. It's not overcooked. It's not falling off the bone ribs. It's a bite through rib, comes off the bone clean, and the rest of the meat stays on the bone. Anybody can cook anything fall off the bone, just overcook it. I mean, it's plain and simple. I mean, it's like a roast. You throw it in the crock pot all day, yeah, it's going to be tender because you just cooked it till nothing's left.
That's interesting. It's like, I think the public thinks fall off the bone means it's cooked perfectly, but that's not the case.
No, not in the contest world. It's clean bites. If the bone is real gray, that means it's more than likely overcooked. If the bone is white, it's going to be more, it's going to be more perfect cooked.
Interesting.
There's a lot of little things that go into it that, like brisket, if it just falls apart, it's overcooked. On a sliced brisket, you want to be able to, for contest, be able to hold it up and have you pull it apart and it's going to look like a little puzzle with these little pieces of meat. Pulled pork, if you take pulled pork and put it in your mouth and take your tongue and push it to the roof of your mouth and it just mush, it's overcooked. in the contest world, but, in the restaurant world, that's what, a lot of people, that's what they've grown to like. So that's a whole different scale of how things are done.
So in a way, is the restaurant world, is that cooking easier than the contest world? It sounds like it.
Well, yes.
Sounds like you have a bigger margin for error, right?
All that, but I like doing contests and plus doing the restaurant because it gets you out of a lot of bad habits.
Oh, let's expound on that a little bit. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, in the restaurant world, you can get into, to me, you can get into some bad habits of overcooking stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Or if, I still check my ribs exactly like I do at a contest.
Do you?
I mean, all I do is use a toothpick, and just imagine a stick of butter that's set out on the counter all day. And you take a toothpick and put it in that butter, and it goes in real easy and comes out real easy. That's what you want with your ribs. Go in between the bones and the meatiest part, in and out. And if you got any drag, or if the rib tries to raise up any, you need to cook them a little longer.
That's so much easier than trying to temp it.
I am on bigger meats, but
Yeah.
the rib deal, I had an old guy when I first started cooking. His name is Bill Myers. He's not with us no more, but he taught me that, and I've used it ever since.
Let's go back to the Bill Myers days. So, like, what got you into cooking back in '96 or prior to '96? What intrigued you about the barbecue world?
It's cooking cheap cuts of meat. Years ago, brisket you never could find in a retail shop because of nobody knew how to cook it. So more likely it got ground into hamburger meat. And, pork butts, weighing 5 pounds. That used to be the rule. Had to weigh 5 pounds or more. So you're cooking this big massive piece of meat and trying to get flavor into this meat. And back then pork butts were 39, 49 cents a pound versus what they are nowadays. So that was the whole idea behind the barbecue deal for the Kansas City Barbecue Society, was taking cheap cuts of meat and turning them to masterpiece, like stuff that people go, wow, I didn't know you could do that with that. I remember when I first started, if you went up north, they had a contest up north. You better make sure you took all your meat with you, because you wouldn't be able to find a brisket.
Oh, I didn't think about that, but that makes sense.
They ground them into hamburger, and so you always want them to take your meat with you and do, hopefully you get there and everything's still good. So,
do you have a competition that you enjoy more than other competitions?
American Roll is one of my favorites, and it's coming up here at the end of the month, at the end of this month, and the first part of October, just because it's like a big family reunion. You get to see everybody, all your friends from the East or West Coast, or that you don't get to see every weekend. And, everybody's got their little groups, and everybody visits, and, a lot of hugging. Hey, man, good to see you. And
yeah,
I mean, we're all friends. That's the thing about it. You can drive across anywhere in the country, and if you're having trailer problems or whatever, you got somebody's number. If you don't have somebody in that area that you got somebody's number that knows somebody in that area that can get you help. You can say, hey, I'm having problems with trailer brakes or wheel bearing. Yeah, so-and-so lives over there. I can get a hold of him and have him get a hold of you, and he'll know somebody to be able to get you back on the road. Or, it's just like a big family. And everybody tries to help everybody. I mean, if you went over and asked them for their rib rub or the brisket rub,
you might not get it.
You won't get that. But I mean, in general, everybody's there to help everybody.
Yeah. Do you have a secret ingredient? Now, I'm not asking you to tell me, but do you have a secret ingredient in your rubs, or is it ingredients that most people use, but maybe at a different ratio?
My wife.
Yeah? She makes your rubs?
No.
Oh, okay.
She's the one that keeps me straight. She's real good at what she does, and just keeps me in line.
I like that. We all need those people, right?
Yep. She, if I get to talking too much, hey, it's this time. We need to be doing this. And it's just like baking a cake. You got a timeline, and you don't think about this 2 minutes I talked to this guy and I'm running late. Well, that 2 minutes just expounds
Mm-hmm.
on everything in a cooking process. Then you get behind and you can't catch back up. So she's real good about keeping me focused.
Yeah.
Because I get people come by and she goes, everybody in the world knows you. Well, I know you too, but we've done it so long. I mean, I've almost cooked 800 contests.
That's incredible.
And as far as I know, it's the most anybody in the country.
Do you know how many contests you've won? Do you have a running tally in your mind?
No, because back in the day, we never kept track of that. All these new guys nowadays, they can tell you
Yeah.
how many first place they've got and how many grands, how many reserve grands. I would say with all the different sanctioning bodies, I'm over 100 grands and probably 80 to 90 reserves, which are second place overall.
Yeah. Adam and I were talking about that because we were trying to figure out between you and I'm forgetting the guy's name, but the father of the guy who now runs Butcher's.
Oh, David.
David, yeah. We thought it might be one of the two of you that had the most in Oklahoma right now, but I don't know. Is there someone else we're not thinking of?
Travis Clark could be up
Oh,
there.
I think he mentioned Travis as well. Yeah.
Travis would be up there as well. David and Travis, which they ain't been cooking there as long as me either. I mean, David didn't start. I'd already cooked probably 6 or 8 years before David ever got started. So, and then Travis has only been cooking like 7 years probably, but he's been very successful in his 7 years.
Yeah. So let's talk about buffaloes over in Sperry. For people that don't know, so you started doing contests, right, in '96. What led you to open up buffaloes in Sperry?
I started it in 07, and me and my cousin had an electrical deal, a company deal, and we worked together and, wiring homes and stuff like that. And, and the housing industry was really slowing down in 07. And I thought, I've always wanted to do this, so right now is the time to do it. And I jumped off, and it's been nerve-wracking. I mean, it's tough. I mean, just like any other business, especially after the COVID. I mean, things have changed drastically because of that, as far as supply chain issues and availability of stuff. So, but it started, and it's been good. I mean, it's like anything else in business. You have your good days and your bad days.
Sure.
But it's always nice to see the people and get to visit.
I would imagine your setup was maybe not. I mean, I'm sure you were still affected by COVID and like you talked about supply chain and all of that, but just having the trailer with the one table, mainly people come and they get their food and then they take it to eat it at home. I would imagine that was almost COVID proof in a way, as far as losing the amount of money or food that was going in and out of the trailer, right?
Yeah, it was, I can't really gripe. COVID was really good for me because that's when everybody wasn't going in to sit down.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of a, pickup and let's all at home deal. And, but it's been a good deal. I mean, I'll tell people I was food trucking when food trucking wasn't cool. So
it's true. 07. I mean, there wasn't too many around back in 07.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah.
There wasn't. And that's what I tell people. I was food trucking when food trucking wasn't cool.
So have you had the thought to go brick and mortar?
Thought about it. I'm just getting to the age. I just don't want to be tied down.
Fair enough.
I mean, I'm 55, and my daughter and grandkids live down south of Salisal, down there by Spyro. And my son-in-law's an ag teacher. My daughter's a home ec teacher, and got 2 grandkids that are busy showing cattle and goats. And I think that's probably where we'd like to end up, is down closer to them where we can not miss anything.
Are you living in Sperry?
Huh?
Do you live in Sperry now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is funny. So I was joking. I had some bourbon here. This was another pick from one of the groups I'm in, Ezra Brooks Cast Strength, and I had one for Donny. And he's like, "No, I brought my drink, and I've heard about this, but I've never actually seen anyone do it." And you poured peanuts in your Coke Zero.
Yep.
That's such a Southern thing, isn't it?
I don't know. I've always done it since I was a kid.
Yeah.
My mom and dad told me about it, and it's always just been one of my things. That and a Tijuana Mama.
No, you got to explain that one.
One of the little Tijuana Mama sausages you buy, pickled sausages that are really hot. I like Coke and peanuts in the Tijuana Mama. That's kind of my.
That's awesome.
If I'm going down the road, going to a contest, I'll usually have a Coke and peanut, and I'll have 2 or 3 Tijuana Mamas in the pickup.
Do you eat the peanuts eventually?
Yeah.
Okay.
You eat the peanuts as you're drinking the pop.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have to try that someday.
Yep, that's good. I even got a guy in West Virginia that's tried it, and he goes, "It ain't too bad," because I ain't much on that Tijuana Mama. The Coke and peanut deal's pretty good.
Oh, that's funny. I appreciate you coming in. We're taping this on Labor Day, by the way, so I'm going to try to keep it more succinct than normal. Usually we just go off the rails and talk about 500 different things, but it's a holiday for both of us, and I do appreciate you coming in. I'll ask you a couple more questions, and then we'll go about our day. If someone was going to come to you and ask your thoughts on A, should I get into the competition game, and B, if I did, what piece of advice or 2 could you give me? What would you say to them?
First thing is I would do would be take a class. A class, I teach classes. There's several good cooks all over the country that teaches classes. But the class will take years off the learning curve. And you won't be spending tons of money trying to learn, like I did back in the day, which things were cheaper. Entry fees were cheaper, fuel was cheaper, meat was cheaper. But there wasn't a lot of classes when I got started. But nowadays, if you take a class, man, there's guys now that come out on the circuit and instantly start winning. But then when they start losing, they don't know how to lose.
Ooh.
They've won all this time, and then they start losing, interest. Like, oh man, this is getting expensive. Well, before I was doing really good and I was winning all this money every weekend, and then now it's going the other way. The money's coming out of my pocket instead of coming in. And
welcome to the real world,
right? So, I've seen a lot of teams over the years that come in just burning hot, win. And then when they hit that, like I said a while ago, nobody rides the surf all the time. You don't fall off the board. And then you got to learn how to get back up on the board and ride again. And that's the people that don't know how to lose will end up quitting. And that's the thing about me. I lost a lot before I ever won. So I'm a lot more appreciative about it. But as far as getting into the contest world, I'd say a class. I would become, if you're interested in Kansas City Barbecue Society, I would highly suggest going to a judging class where you can see what they do when they get your box in there, how the process works, what they're actually looking for. All them little things takes a lot of years off, and a lot of money. From learning the hard way.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is knowing your cooker. You get a lot of guys that come out of the backyard, they're real proficient in ribs and chicken because that's what they do. And then they'll hear their name there, and then they get to the big meats and they fall south. And you got to be consistent in all 4 meats to have a chance in the overall.
So for those that don't know, is that how it works? You do individual by meat, and then those scores tally up your overall?
They're all combined.
Okay.
Chicken, ribs, which is St. Louis cut ribs, spare ribs, or baby backs. There's no country styles. Pork butt, horse shoulder, and brisket. And they're all, if you have 4 categories, and most contests, the norm is turn in at noon, and then it's every 30 minutes after that until brisket goes. So it's 12, 12:30, 1, and 1:30. And then you're done. So that 30 minutes in between, you're humped up because there's a lot going on between. That's where the wife, she's running boxes and cleaning cutting boards and swapping out stuff and making sure sauces are hot and ready to go.
So it really is a team deal.
Yeah. I can still do a few by myself. One year I did 48 contests. And
that's a ton.
I did probably 36 of them by myself.
Man.
And that was back in the day when I just pick up a cooker and a pop-up tent, and if the weather was good, and I wouldn't even hardly put up a pop-up tent. And sleep in the front seat of the pickup, lean it back. And
that sounds
get
brutal.
Up in the middle of the night, cook, get done, drive home. Do it again the next weekend. So,
Man, do you have a cooker of choice?
I'm partial to Jambos.
Okay, I don't know that one. I have a Pits and Spits and obviously a Hasty Bake. Those are the two that I have. I don't know Jambo.
Jambos are made in Burleson, Texas.
Okay.
They're an offset cooker with an insulated firebox. And I ain't saying all the top teams on the circuit, but there's a vast majority of them that cook on Jambos. Jambos and a lot of knockoff Jambos companies have started and they've kind of cloned a Jambo or cans or the little new hot thing now.
Mm-hmm.
And
the drum ones. Yeah. My buddy in Denver has one of those. Yeah.
And but I have a Hasty Bake on the back of my trailer mounted in a Jambo, and that's what I use.
Yeah. Do you have a wood preference? I'm asking all these because I like smoking as well, so I'm asking all these personal questions now.
I like I'm partial to pecan and cherry.
Okay.
And I run a lot of charcoal, so just because the charcoal give you a longer time, longer burns. All them guys think, boy, I got to have just smoke chugging out of that chimney, out of that stack. You don't want that, because every time I'm in a cook-off, I see that smoke just chugging. That's a tally mark. That's one guy I ain't got to worry about.
Is that because too much smoke is the bitterness and just not the right flavor? Yeah.
You want just clean stack running all the time, just clean heat. That's the whole key. That's why I said learning your cooker is, and the best thing to learn your cooker, and a lot of people don't even think of this, is when you buy a cooker, just go buy you the cheapest biscuits you can find and spread them out all over the grate. Have your fire running, spread them out all over your grate, and put them in there, and then check them from time to time. If your biscuits are getting really done on top but doughy on bottom, that means the heat's coming over the top. If the biscuits are burning on the bottom but not on top, that means your heat's coming from the bottom. Or if you got a sweet spot where the biscuits are just like they would be in the oven, top and bottom's right, the inside's right, well, that's
where you're going to put
your
it.
good heat's at. Yeah. So if you need to move stuff around and, if stuff's running, well, I need to slow this down, I'll move it over here. Or if I need to speed something up, I'll move it this way. Or, so biscuits are a cheap way to figure out your cooker.
That's interesting. I did something similar, but without the biscuits. First time I got so I drove up to Colorado to pick up the Pits and Spits. Actually my buddy in Denver found a really good deal outside of Denver. So it was the most treacherous drive back of my life. I had that thing, all strapped down, but coming through Kansas, there was like 90 mile an hour crosswinds, and I'm just, my truck's going everywhere. Like it was a little scary there for a minute. But when I got it back, the first couple fires I did, I just put different temperature probes in different spots just to see. And it's amazing. I mean, it was a 30-degree difference between the closest to the firebox and then the closest to, there's a upright cold smoke stack where my smoke comes out of. But it was such a big difference between one end to the other. It blew my mind. So now I know when I'm cooking, like, oh, is that cooking too fast? I can move it this way. Right. Or whatever. But you're right. Learning the smoker is key.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Last question. If someone hasn't been, actually, no, I lied. There's going to be two. But if someone hasn't been to Buffalo's before and they come and they ask you, what should I get? What do you like? I mean, it's all good, right? But what would you advise a first timer to try?
I mean, if you're wanting like a smoker, for a cheap way to get into it would be a can. I mean, because they're a lot cheaper. I mean, like a backyard Jambo for a patio model, you're looking at $2,200.
Yeah.
$2,500. Where you can buy a can for anywhere from $800 to $1,200. So about half the price. Or a Weber Smoky Mountain, probably $400. But those are the cheaper way to see if you enjoy it before you drop a ton, and plus it'll keep the spouse off your rear end a little bit too.
That's true. You're not spending $12,000 on a smoker.
Yeah. So
that's funny. All right, before I let you go, I have to get the origin story behind Dirty Uncle.
I don't know. Adam come up with that deal.
Just out of nowhere.
Yeah, he's always got names for me. I drive a little old Ranger around during the week, and I always call it the Danger Ranger. And here comes Donnie. So, but he comes up with all these crazy names for me. So we're good friends. I mean, we're only about 6 miles apart as far as businesses, but he's always been very helpful for me, and I think I've been the same for him. And we always lean on each other. If I can't get product, or he's usually good for me to be able to get product from him or whatever. And plus me and his father-in-law, mother-in-law, we go way back. I've known them for years, and they're all good people. So that's the thing about the barbecue world around Tulsa, that the ones that I know, everybody seems to try to help everybody. We're all, if when you help everybody, it's only good for everybody else.
Right.
I mean, if you can help somebody out, if you can, it's always good.
That's one thing I noticed from our conversation last week is, he was talking about, he showed up the other day and you were busy, and I think it was when you had the Wagyu burn-ins.
Yeah.
And he was like, "You need anything?" And you were like, "Yeah, check my burn-ins." And it's the camaraderie and the relationship, because like you would think maybe from the outside, it's like, oh, that's my competition, right? Like I don't want to give them I don't want to give them tidbits or whatever, because they might get more business than me. But it's not that way at all within the community, is it?
No, and I'll never run what he runs a day. He's got 8 or 10 people on payroll at any given time, and it's just me.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different world. He's got a lot more volume going out than me. It's just me, and I'm one of them. I cook so much. I don't have a lot of refrigeration room, so I only cook so much a day. When it's gone, it's gone. Some days people will show up at 11:20 and I'm already out of ribs.
Mm.
But when you have a guy call and orders all your ribs in one order,
what are you gonna do?
You can't say no, because you don't know who's coming behind him that's going to want ribs. But as soon as them ribs are gone, it's like you got a sign out front saying, "Please stop and order ribs because he don't have them," or whatever else it is.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand ribs, brisket, and pork. It's not like you run back there, throw it in a deep fryer, and it's ready in 6 minutes. It's a long process. So, the little meats, you can try to catch back up, like Polish and hot links and bologna. That process don't take near as long.
Mm-hmm.
But them bigger meats, ribs for me are 4 to 4.5 hours. So, if you run out of ribs at noon, time you get them on and get them off, it's going to be 5 o'clock. I close at 6.
Yeah.
And then you got to hope you can sell them.
Right.
And my whole idea is try to sell fresh product every day. I don't like, if I go out and eat, I don't want to eat reheats.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want leftovers from the day before. I want something that's been cooked that day. And that's my whole philosophy where I'm at, is that, and I can't just pile my refrigerator full of hot meat and walk out of there and come back, because more likely the refrigerator's going to go down and everything's going to be spoiled.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
That's an interesting song and dance, right?
Yeah,
enough food, not enough food. You don't want leftovers. You want to be out. Because you don't want waste,
And everybody goes, "Well, how do you know how much to cook?" I said, "I don't. If I knew that, I know what lottery numbers to pick, and I would not be here. I like y'all, but I still wouldn't be here."
Fair enough. Fair enough. But outside of just you and Adam's relationship, you were talking about, there's people around the country that you meet in the barbecue world that you can call for help, or that,
right.
He was talking about how he goes down to Texas and he can poke around in the back because people know that he owns a barbecue restaurant in Oklahoma. Just as a whole, not just one relationship in particular, but as a whole, it seems to be just this camaraderie between, you're all in this together. You're all, for the most part, cooking on the same thing, kind of cooking the same way. I attributed it to everyone at some point in their life has barbecued.
Yep.
Now, maybe not as successfully as you guys or as delicious as you guys, but it's, to me, barbecue is family. And I think that's what I think of when I think of barbecue, family time, right?
Yep.
And I think maybe the industry as a whole kind of adopts that feeling and that love for each other in a brotherly way.
Yeah, I agree. I got friends all over the country that own restaurants, and we was on vacation a few years ago. I got a buddy that owns Smoky D's in Des Moines, and we'd went to Wisconsin and cooked, and we were swinging back through. I was going to go cook over in Nebraska on the way home. And I called Darren. I said, I need to get some pork butts. He goes, I got 40 cases coming in the morning. Come down here to the restaurant and open the cases, find the ones you want, and weigh them out, and we'll pay for them, and we'll be ready to go.
That's awesome.
I just, call somebody up, say, hey, yeah, we got 40 cases. Well, 40 cases, $5 to a case. I mean, there's a couple $100 to choose from.
No doubt. Yeah.
A lot better variety than going to Sam's.
Sure.
Or any of the big box stores. So it's stuff like that it's always nice. And there's been a few times when it's pouring down rain, and I usually don't open if it's pouring down rain, and because rain and walk up business is just not a good thing.
Yep, that's true.
And so I'll go up to Adams, and one day I sat there and cut meat during lunch hour.
Did you really?
And everybody looks at, what are you doing here? Well, I'm closed, and thought I'd come up here and cut some meat, just come to help him out.
I love that.
Something to do,
Yeah.
It all works out, what we have. Adam has them steak nights every now and then, or, I went up and cooked steak one night on his celebrity steak night. We did pork steak one time, and go up and help, and other guys will come and help, and, everybody just gets together and we have a good time and harass each other and cook some meat and, try to hope people enjoy it and enjoy what we've done for the day.
Sounds fun. Do you eat barbecue when you're picking
me
or whatever?
Me and the wife, we go to Adams probably 2 to 3 times a month.
Okay.
I go to Adams, and nothing against anything he's got, but I'm a bologna and rib guy, and I'll go up there and have bologna, usually a little bit of ham and one rib, and that's usually what I get. But, anywhere I go, I'm a rib guy. I'll go to my buddies in Des Moines, I get ribs and mac and cheese.
Yeah.
But I like a rib.
I do want to get your opinion on one thing, and it was a conversation that stems from one Adam and I had, and the question I asked him was there's obviously differences in barbecue regionality wise around the country. You have the Carolina style, Texas style, Oklahoma, Kansas City style, whatever. But within a certain area or region, right? Like within Oklahoma, when everyone kind of sort of cooks the same, is it the sides that can really differentiate a barbecue place from another if the way of cooking and the rubs are similar and all of that? Is that what it comes down to sometimes if you're trying to pinpoint differences between different Texas places or different Oklahoma places or whatever? Or am I understating the art of the cook? Because I could be doing that.
To me, it all boils down to meat. I think the sides are always, they need to be good to complement whatever you're cooking. But
right.
People ain't coming to have green beans.
It's a valid point. Yeah.
They're coming for the protein.
Yeah.
There's some things people like more than others, if you turkey people or whatever, but I would think it's more of the protein type deal for me. Talking about this regional deal, it's kind of back to a contest deal. Went to Lynchburg, Virginia, cooked, and this was several years ago. Whipped in there, and these Carolina boys seen the Oklahoma plates on the pickup, and they started barking as soon as you get out of the truck. Should have left that tomato-based sauce in Oklahoma, boy. If you ain't got vinegar over here, you're not winning. I said, oh, whatever, we just went on about our business. So me and my buddy go over there and cook. I cook chicken and ribs, and he cooks pork and brisket. We enter 2 sauces. We enter anything but, which you can cook anything, and we enter dessert. So we do our cook, and we go to the awards. First place sauce is my buddy. Second place sauce is me. They go to anything but. We win first in anything but. Go to dessert, and we win dessert. So go to the 4 meats, which count, for the grand and reserve. And I cook chicken and ribs. I get first in chicken with a perfect score. I get first in ribs with a perfect score. And we got 2 firsts. Bart gets like a third and a fourth, and pork and brisket. And the most points you can score in a contest is 720.
Okay.
And we scored 708.
It's not bad.
The next team behind us was like a 695.
Okay.
So this is no joke. Both of us walked back to the truck with both arms stuck straight out, carrying trophies. So we take a picture, and we're in Bart's truck and had my cooker, and had the window down, and pulling out, and the Carolina boys go, "Can we taste that sauce?" I said, "Remember, that stuff don't work over here." So back to Oklahoma we came.
Oh, man.
So, but, it's just, everybody goes, "Well, how do you know what to cook in what region?" I cook what got me there.
If it's not broke, don't fix it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
If the tire's still rolling, don't be worrying about something different.
That's the truth. Well, I appreciate you doing this. When can people come eat at Buffalo's? What's your weekly?
I'm usually there Monday through Friday. If you're driving any distance, always call. If I'm open or closed, it's always on the answering machine. I do prime rib on Wednesdays, and that lately is kind of depending on price. If the price is way up, I don't have it. I usually try to put it on the answering machine by Monday afternoon, and I try to put it on Facebook under Buffalo's Barbecue if I'm going to have prime rib on Monday. If I have it on Wednesday, but I put it on there if I'm going to actually cook it on Monday. But like I said, please call, because I hate for people to drive out there, and I'm not, like I say, I'm a one-man show, so if something happens, I get sick, or if I were gone to a contest, we'll be closed. Like I said, I got several contests coming up next weekend or 2 weeks from now, and after that, I'll be gone for almost a week to Kansas City for the American Roll, and got another contest in Edmond in latter part of October, and the first part of November will be in Harper, Kansas. So,
You're all over the place, man.
yep, getting ready to hit a few here at the end, so before winter sets in.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you doing this again. Thanks for taking the time on Labor Day. It was good to catch up with you.
You bet.
I'll come eat some ribs and brisket sometime soon.
Come on out. We'll be glad to serve you.
Yeah, you guys look him up on Facebook. Like he said, he's a quick responder on the old Facebook. So it's Buffalo's Barbecue there. Thanks again for coming out. That'll do it for this episode of the Tasting Room. Next week is week 3 of 4 of Barbecue Month. Chris Emmons from just down the alleyway in Oakhart Barbecue will be sitting in the chair where Mr. Teel is now. Thanks again, man.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next week. Take care.